No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show, presented by Play Now, the official sports betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets, starts now.
Well, folks, I can guarantee you one thing before we get into this Illegal Curve post-game show of the Jets and the Utah Hockey Club game tonight. I can tell you one thing's for sure. On Wednesday night, Boston Pizza on Taylor Avenue. It's going to be way more entertaining on Wednesday night than this game was tonight. This post-game show is going to be way more entertaining than this game was tonight. Sort of one of the least, I felt, one of the least anticipated games on the calendar, I would say, coming 2 days after the end of that homestand. It's a Monday night at a weird time. Everything about this to me sort of just said, this is going to be a bit of a dud for the Winnipeg Jets. And I might have to go out and buy a lottery ticket, folks, because this was as dud of a dud as the Jets have done this so far this season, losing 5-2 to the Utah Hockey Club, Ezzy.
Yeah, good evening, boys. Yeah, well, I mean, at the very least, it was entertaining in the third period when the Jets scored a couple of goals and made it a 2-goal game. But certainly, Drew, the first couple of periods were pretty atrocious, and it kind of went from bad to worse. Obviously, Utah scores late in the second period, and then there's another couple turnovers, and the Jets find themselves down 4-0. I agree with you. This isn't a game that I think a lot of Jets fans were looking forward to, and it's an odd situation. We talked about an odd part of the schedule where the Jets play in Utah, then they stay on the road, play Colorado, and then they come back home and play Utah again. So we saw Mark Scheifele, and how did they miss that high stick, by the way, on Kesselring?
I think they called it a follow-through. Oh, my guess.
Yeah, I guess that's the only reason, right? And obviously Scheifele goes after Kesselring. Connor jumps in there. So,
yeah.
It's not a 2-game series, but it kind of is a 2-game series. So there's going to be a little bit of bad blood spilling over into the game on Friday at home, right? But, I mean, the Jets just they weren't managing the puck well. Their passing was horrible. Mm-hmm. And the turnovers, you give Utah credit. They capitalized on these egregious turnovers. And look, Logan Cooley, Clayton Keller, Nick Schmaltz, guys, like that's a bona fide first line. Like this is Clayton Keller, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the more underrated players. Like he's on pace for, I think, an 86 point season this year. Obviously, Logan Cooley, he's almost matched his career high in his rookie season last year. And guys, let's remind ourselves, Dylan Guenther, 9th overall pick, who was 4th on Utah in scoring, and Mikhail Sergachev, you didn't hear that name come up at all on the broadcast. He's 5th on the team in scoring. So they were missing 2 of their best players, and they still were up 4-0 on the Jets. So give Utah credit, but the Jets it was all self-inflicted tonight.
It was a terrible performance by the Jets. Agreed with everything as he just said. Dave, I think from the Jets' perspective now, you just have to hope that whatever kept Adam Lowry out for a large chunk of this game. So if you're just joining us, Adam Lowry went out after, he slid into the end boards in the first period.
But played the rest of the period, though.
Played the rest of the period, did not come back out for the second period or the third. So as soon as we have some news on the Jets captain, we'll bring that to you here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. And then they lose Gabe Vilardi for a period of time as well, briefly after he collides with one of the Utah players. But from the Jets' perspective, just all around bad, and you just have to hope that it's nothing too serious with Adam Lowry.
No, there's no question about it. And we'll see if Scott O'Neill has an update post-game when he speaks, which I would imagine is in the next 10 minutes. But this is it is definitely unfortunate that the Jets played the way they did. And, you lose Adam Lowry, and we've talked about it. But the fact of the matter is that Utah has not been a particularly good team in the last 10 games. They haven't been a particularly good team at home. They were a team that, even though they beat St. Louis, who's another one of those middling teams in the Central, they weren't particularly happy with the way their game has looked as we. So, I mean, this was a Utah team that wasn't a juggernaut by any stretch of the imagination. And as said in his answer, they do have some nice pieces, but I mean, this is not a team that you're going to fear, and especially with the way Connor Ingram looked at net in that first period. I mean, he was shaky. The Jets just didn't get a lot of shots on him, unfortunately for them and for the fans who stayed up and watched that game. So the Jets were not able to take advantage of potentially some goaltending that looked a little suspect, at least early on. And like I said, the inattention to detail, I'm not going to say attention to detail, the inattention to detail, Drew, was evident, and the lack of the passing was bad, and there were too many mistakes, and you can't make that many mistakes in an NHL game and expect to get away with it. And we've talked about it for this Jets club enough times to say, like sure, they're the first place team still, I get that, but at the same time, you cannot make the type of errors that they made throughout the course of this hockey game and expect to win.
It's probably a conversation for Saturday show where we can delve a little bit deeper into it. But just a quick thought on the fact that the Jets don't get one power play in the course of
I did.
game.
Yeah, I thought about that for sure. I did think that it was curious that now that's 2 games in a row they haven't had a power play or something like that.
Well, they had a power play. They had a power play against Calgary, a couple of them.
Maybe
Kadri,
it was the
Kadri took 2 penalties.
It was Colorado they didn't have the power play against. But yeah, I definitely think it's curious that Doug said it was not a follow through on the Kesselring one that pissed off Mark Scheifele. So I don't know about if Ezzy saw it, but yeah, I mean there were a couple of things that could have been called in the first period. I thought there was 1 or 2, but I mean the refs put the whistles away, and that's, you have to play with the game. And if you can't score, look, your power play is the best power play in the NHL, but if you can't score 5-on-5. Well, that's a problem, right? And so you can't always be looking to the power play to be the answer to your problems, because if you don't get one, you can't say, well, we can't score because we don't have our power play available.
And how many times, guys, this year has the power play bailed out some kind of sleepy 5-on-5 play, right?
Well, look at the Seattle game last week.
Exactly, right? Like sometimes the Jets, all they need is one power play, and they need a power play goal, and that changes the outcome of the game, right? So I agree with Dave, right? Like Connor Ingram was looking shaky in that first period, and he's got a sub 900 save percentage, and we know that 900 is kind of the league average. Don't quote me on the exact, but it's below average, Connor Ingram this year. And last year, you remember, he played the majority of the games for the Coyotes. I think it was 50 games last year for the Saskatchewan product, right? And he was shaky, right? It was Kyle Connor who had that chance. Dave, you posted it on X. Like usually Connor puts that in the back of the net. But if you remember, Nick Bukestad had that 2-on-1 where Hellebuck had to make a good save. Alex Kerfoot had that one-timer. I remember that was to the left of Hellebuck, and he made a really good pad save. So Utah could have had a couple of goals in the first period, right? Mm-hmm. And, the Jets I don't know if it was, if it was a lack of execution, if it was finishing. I mean, obviously the turnovers were a huge problem in this game, and we're going to get to them in the Play Now game recap. But, the offense certainly wasn't there tonight. And again, the Jets deserved better. Anybody who watched that Calgary game knows that they were Dustin Wolfed. So it's not like, the Jets followed up a poor performance with another poor performance or anything like that, but they're going to have to be much better. And yeah, the health of Adam Lowry is a big question mark, guys, because not only did you see the line blender come out, it was kind of hard to tell like who is with who, because at one point you had Morgan Barron playing on the top line when Velarde was out, and then Velarde came back, but then they kept Nemesnikov, Ehlers, and Barron as the second line. So not necessarily what you thought was going to be where the line blender was going to go, because you maybe thought Iafallo was going to stay on that second line with Nemesnikov and Ehlers, right? But Adam Lowry, certainly, if he's out for any significant amount of time, that's going to throw the forward lines into disarray, right?
It's hard to believe that it's an overwhelmingly serious injury because he came back and played. Maybe it's something precautionary, and we don't know. And as soon as we do know, we'll give you some more information. But it's hard to believe that would be anything too serious, considering he played the remainder of that first period. But just putting that out there. And briefly, before we get into the Play Now game recap, over the last month, the Jets have drawn the third fewest penalties in the entire NHL. Only the Islanders and the LA Kings have drawn fewer penalties than the Winnipeg Jets. So something probably we can delve deeper in on Saturday morning's Illegal Curve Hockey show.
I don't know how much more deeper you could what
does the Jets have to do to draw more penalties? Things of that nature. Why aren't they drawing as many penalties? But again, Saturday we'll delve deeper into it. For now, we'll get into the nitty-gritty details of tonight's 5-2 defeat to the Utah Hockey Club. It's the Play Now game recap.
the Play Now game recap.
Big thanks to our friends at Play Now. You know them as the title sponsor of the Illegal Curve post-game show, the Illegal Curve hockey show. They're all over Illegal Curve, and we appreciate them for that. Don't bet on illegal sites. Bet with Play Now instead, Manitoba's local, legal, and secure gambling site. 18 plus. Enjoy responsibly. I think if you bet on the hockey club tonight, you would have made some money, as I'm confident they were probably the underdog. So, you know.
I do want to say it was very funny, and I wasn't trying. I didn't want this to come across as making fun of Dan Robertson because I love Dan, but it was funny when at one point he said during the broadcast, "It's scoreless between the hockey club and the Jets." And I was like, "Give these guys a name already. Just give them a name." It's just very awkward. I remember writing the pregame report, like the hockey club from Utah. Like it's enough already. Call them the Yetis, call them whatever. This hockey club stuff is nonsense.
It's going to be Yeti, right, Dave?
I believe so. I mean, Who knows? But that's where it seems to be going. But I just thought it was. I just laughed when I heard Dan say, scoreless between the hockey club and the Jets. I'm like, okay.
Well, it was scoreless between the hockey club and the
That's
Jets
actually not true. There was a score. It was 0-0.
0-0. Sorry, it was goalless. There's all right. It was goalless between the hockey club and the Jets after 20 minutes in tonight's contest. David Gustafson comes so close for the Winnipeg Jets, and you have to wonder, if not, by an inch or two going wide, if he gets an opening goal or an early goal for the Winnipeg Jets, what does that do to the calculus of this game? But nonetheless, it was not to be for Gustafson and the Jets. High danger chances in that first period were 3-1 in the Jets' favor, but sleepy would be probably the most apt way to describe the opening 20 minutes of tonight's contest.
Not sure why Utah was only credited with one there, because I already documented that Nick Bukestad had the breakaway, the 2-on-1, and then Alex Kerfoot had the one-timer. So it's kind of bizarre to me that they were only credited with one high-danger scoring chance. But you're right.
Coming up Saturday on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, Ezzy versus Natural Stat Trick.
Exactly. Yeah, I like that, Drew. But you're right to bring up the David Gustafson burst of speed. That was incredible. Yeah. And we know that Gustafson has wheels, right? I think some people think, I should say, that because he's a fourth-line guy, he's slow or something like that. But that was a good opportunity. And, speaking of the, bottom six, I don't know if what line Morgan Barron we're going to call him on right now. Usually he's on the fourth line, but I also thought he had a strong game. He had a really good scoring chance in the third period that we can get to when we get to the third period. But yeah, that burst of speed from Gus Bus was impressive.
Well, and just to jump onto Ezzy's point, I actually thought Morgan Barron had an excellent first period. He used his legs to create an opportunity where he went around the defender and cut to the front of the net. That was before the Gustafson chance. And then on the Gustafson chance, he picked the puck up from behind the net and wheeled around and did the wraparound, which just failed to click. But the fact of the matter is, I actually thought Morgan Barron had a pretty strong opening period for the Jets.
Yeah, and then I would agree with everything you said, both of you, with regard to the Jets.
Thank you, Drew, for agreeing with us. I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, every now and then I feel in a good mood. I can agree with you guys. The Jets, the guys who are at the bottom of the forward group really were more prominent for a lot of tonight's game for the Winnipeg Jets. The hockey club, I'm going to try and call them the Coyotes, just so everyone's prepared. It's likely going to happen that they're going to get called the Coyotes. Again, for a lot of that second period, nothing going on, really dull. Jets do kill off the two penalties. They kill off the Pionk tripping penalty and the DeMello cross-checking penalty. So good that the penalty kill has continued to succeed for the Winnipeg Jets. But Olimata, he gets the opening goal with 4 minutes to go in the second period. It's his first of the season, assist to Nick Schmaltz and Clayton Keller. It's traffic in front. Sort of a bad turnover. Morrissey's trying to hit Scheifele in the neutral zone. The loose puck goes onto the stick of for Utah. Scheifele isn't able to pick the pass clean. It's onto the stick of Clayton Keller, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. He gets the zone. He gets it over to Schmaltz. Back to the point where Mata lets it go, and who's in front of the net as well is again Clayton Keller after he brings it into the zone, and he is causing chaos in front of Connor Hellebuck to let it be a 1-0 Utah lead at that point. Keller, of course, returning to the game after taking a puck that would have taken me out for a good 3 to 4 weeks.
Well, yeah, and everybody saw the shiner that he had below his eye, right? Like, and that's only going to get worse as the night progresses, right? He's probably going to have a pretty big bump.
It'll be
there.
Purple and yellow and all sorts of colors.
Yeah, I'm sure Bar Down is going to have some good pictures of Clayton Keller after tonight's game. But Drew, they originally credited the goal to Clayton Keller, right? And it's kind of funny, right? Like, I think it ends up going off of DeMello. When they showed the replay on TV, it looked like it went off of DeMello, but it was hard to tell if it went off of Keller then DeMello, or if Mata his shot went off of DeMello. And obviously, in the NHL war room, they decided that it was not Clayton Keller's goal; it was Olli Mata's goal. But yeah, I mean, you're right. There's a bit of a turnover in the neutral zone. Clayton Keller does a good job on the zone entry, brings in a lot of speed, and then I liked how Nick Schmaltz kind of slowed the play down, I should say. And then got it back to Olli Mata, who's got the big blast. I think that was his first goal of the year, if I'm not mistaken, right, boys?
Yeah.
You might have just mentioned that. Sorry, Drew, if you already mentioned that. But yeah, it wasn't a great second period for the Jets. We talked about, the first period wasn't exactly a Monet or a Monet or a Tippy Day, whatever it is. The first two periods were pretty mediocre for the Jets.
Just happened? Tippy Day?
It's from Seinfeld.
Tippy Day is from Seinfeld?
Monet, Manet, Tippy Day. Come on, Drew.
I don't know which reference is that. I know the Monet.
Well,
I don't remember the Tippy. Well, I don't remember the Tippy Day.
I don't. You know what? I can't tell you what exact episode it was from.
I'm gonna have to Google.
But yeah,
okay.
if you Google,
doesn't matter. You guys,
he was a Southern gentleman.
It's not one that's at the top of my recollection list, which is odd because usually I try and stay up to date on all these things.
Well, anyways, I would just only add that this to me was emblematic of the way the Jets played, because here's Josh Morrissey, who just fires the puck in the neutral zone kind of wildly to nobody in particular. And it starts off the kind of sequence in order to, get that puck. I mean, he's got control of it in the neutral zone, right? And there's a little bit of pressure there, but he tries to fire it all along to the wall, and then there's just nothing. And then you Jets are just standing around. And, I think they obviously, like I said, like as he just said, they originally gave it to those guys, but you kind of saw DeMello point to himself when talking to
Keller. Those guys.
Well,
did they give two players the goal, Dave?
Yeah, no, but when they gave it to Keller, but you saw DeMello kind of say gesture to himself when he was talking to Connor Hellebuck.
That's why it's funny you mentioned that, Dave. That's exactly what I was thinking. As soon as he did, as I saw that on the replay, I was like, it for sure went off of him.
Yeah, and so that's just, again, the Jets were scrambling, and when you have the top pair scrambling like that, it's you're in trouble. So that was not a good way for the Jets to start, because, like you had said, as they had a little bit of momentum, and then it was killed because of that.
Yeah, 1-0 for the hockey club at that point, and then they make it 2-0 3 minutes and 42 seconds later. Logan Cooley, his 15th of the season, assist to Barrett Hayden. This comes with 18 seconds to go in the second period, and the timing of this one is just horrible for the Jets. They're in a good position, really, in the offensive zone, and then just an uncharacteristic error by Dylan Sandberg. He's trying to keep the puck in. Instead, he whiffs. And then the hockey club, it's just so weird saying hockey club.
It really is, though.
It just doesn't flow with my linguistic style here on the post game show. It's throwing me all off, and I have to do it again on Friday. Maybe I'm going to take Friday off because I'm not feeling it on Friday because of this. In any event, just an uncharacteristic error by Dylan Sandberg leads to an odd man rush, and Barrett Hayden flips it over to Logan Cooley, and Logan Cooley with a great shot. I mean, Logan Cooley is a really, really young, talented player who's going to only get better in this league. I believe this is his second third year? Second year, exactly. Yeah. 15 goals already. Just, this was not Dylan Sandberg's best game. I mean, there's another, error where we're going to talk about that as well. And it just sort of, again, bad to worse for the Winnipeg Jets late in the second period.
Remember, Drew, when we were doing the show live, we thought that the Coyotes then were going to take Shane Wright at third overall, and they took Logan Cooley, which is turning out to be the right pick. By the way, no offense to Shane Wright and the Seattle Kraken, but Logan Cooley is well on his way to kind of like a 70 to 75 point season. But, what happens here is Neil Pionk kind of blindly shoots the puck, and it rims all the way around the boards. So Dylan Sandberg's kind of cheating to the Pionk side, to the right side. And so he's kind of now scrambling to get to the boards where the puck is rimmed around and to try to keep it in. And obviously that's when the Utah Hockey Club, specifically Barrett Hayton, jumps on it. And Barrett Hayton makes a nice little kind of sneaky pass to Logan Cooley. And as far as I'm concerned, this is just a masterclass on how to use a player as a decoy, right? Logan Cooley acts as if he's going to pass it over to Nick Schmaltz, who's now made it a 2-on-1, and he just rips it top corner on Hellebuck. Absolutely no chance for Hellebuck on this goal. But yeah, it's just, again, it's kind of sloppy all around by the Jets. It's just not like it's Neil Pionk's kind of just blindly putting the puck, rimming it into the corner, and then Dylan Samberg it's just not a good attempt to keep the puck in. So, it was the story of the game tonight. It seemed like every single time the Jets had an egregious turnover, Utah put it in the back of the net.
Well, then let's talk about this. Sorry, I was going to move to the third, but Dave, go ahead.
Well, no, I mean, I just want to add quickly. I mean, I also don't like the fact that not only did Dylan Samberg fine, you have the whiff, which is okay. That's not the end of the world. You can recover from that, but then he doesn't recover properly from that. Doesn't take out, the man, and then as a result, they go in on the 2-on-1. I also didn't love the fact that Mark Scheifele and Gabriel Velarde were kind of gliding in the zone, right? And so Mark Scheifele, as soon as he recognizes that, he needs.
It was the end of a shift for those guys,
Yeah,
right?
No, I know. Yeah, no, I know. But I'm just saying, like, a little bit more. Then you know what the problem is, Ezzy, and then that's what we've talked about with this. Look, the top line's been fantastic. I know that, but they do tend to sometimes take long shifts. And I think that, this is one of those areas where if you're gassed and you don't, that's kind of emblematic of the problem of if you take a long shift and you get caught like that, and your defenseman gets caught like that, you don't have any energy to get back and defend. And so unfortunately for the Jets, I mean, that's a killer. I mean, we haven't seen that a lot this year where the Jets have given up those goals in the last minute. In fact, we've seen the Jets scoring that goal in the last minute of hockey games. They haven't been giving it up against teams to any significant degree that I can recollect this season. I'm not saying it hasn't happened, but I'm saying it hasn't happened a lot. So I just think like that's one where when it's clear that your game isn't at its optimum and you're down Adam Lowry already, and you've already lost Gabriel Velarde for a little bit, to at least go into the third period down 1-0 is so much more significant than if you're down 2-0, because 2-0, the way they had been playing, did look insurmountable.
Yeah, exactly right. 2-0 after 40 minutes. The Utah Hockey Club in a position of strength. And then the struggles continue for the Winnipeg Jets at the 4:53 mark of the third period. Barrett Hayton, his 9th of the year, assist to Josh Doan and Kevin Stenlund. And all of a sudden, any sort of fight back from the Jets is just a bad turnover where the Jets are generally in a decent enough position here. It's a bad pass from Neil Pionk over to Josh Morrissey. Ricochets off of the boards. Pionk's in a decent position here, and then just Doan chips it over to Barrett Hayton. It's just these things can't happen. Jack Doan just beats Neil Pionk to a loose puck, and then Barrett Hayton. What's that?
Who's Jack Doan?
Josh's brother.
Sorry. Josh Doan. I apologize. It's late.
I know, Drew. I saw you trying to conceal a yawn.
I was gonna let that one slip, but Manuk wasn't gonna let it slip.
No, God forbid, Dave.
No,
not throw
please,
the end of the
Drew. You burnt me a couple games ago. So I've been waiting to get you.
You're waiting and wait. Anyways, Josh Doan, my apologies, chips it over, and this is just poor play by the Winnipeg Jets. You lose puck battles. They lost races to loose pucks. They didn't win loose pucks. They didn't win puck battles. Bad night. This is you see it again on this goal. Just look at these Utah goals. Every one of them is almost begins with a Winnipeg Jets turnover.
Well, that one is all Neil Pionk. I mean, sorry, look, people are we point out when guys make mistakes. That's kind of the purpose. We're not here to highlight some guys' mistakes but ignore others. Neil Pionk makes a number of egregious errors on this play. First of all, it's a terrible pass, which we saw throughout the course of this hockey game from the Winnipeg Jets. It's right behind Josh Morrissey. So you handcuff Josh Morrissey, you put him in a bad spot. And I'm not saying, like, the truth is Neil Pionk had time. He didn't have a ton of time, but he had more time than he could have delivered this properly. And then he has positioning. And yet, again, he doesn't do what he needs to do. and they get the puck over. Jack Doan gets it over to Barrett Hayden, and he goes up and over. And at that point, 3-0. I'm getting the tweet ready to say, just join us on the Illegal Curve post-game show now, because this one's over.
Yeah, exactly right. Go ahead, Ezzy.
One thing I want to point out here, Dave already mentioned, it's a horrible pass at the Utah blue line by he's being pressured by Stenlund, Pionk that is. So it's a bad pass that goes into Morrissey's skates. And then obviously the Utah Hockey Club, you're right. It is just, you want to say, let's say Yeti. You want to say the Yeti, but you want to say the Utah. That's why what makes it so awkward, Drew, is because you can't say the Utah, but then you can't say the Hockey Club.
I'm telling you.
It's horrible. They need to.
I can't imagine. I bet you broadcasters have hated their games, calling their games this year.
Yeah.
Like the
Let's get Dan Robertson on right now. I'm going to text him to come on the show.
I bet you Dan would say that it throws off his entire cadence and that it makes his job a little bit more difficult by them not having an actual name.
What I don't like here is that, like, the Pionk pass to Morrissey is one thing, but Pionk actually gets himself, because Pionk's a good skater, he gets himself actually in front of Josh Doan. But what I don't like here is he kind of tries to do this like fancy kind of like
soft.
It's just a soft, like he's trying to like not get his stick lifted, when really, Drew, if you think about it, if Pionk just bodies Josh Doan, look who's having the problems now. If he just bodies Josh Doan and kind of takes him out into the boards,
just tie up the stick.
Exactly.
Nothing bad happens.
Then he can't get it over to Barrett Hayton. But what ends up happening is Pionk doesn't really do anything. He kind of just tries to like shield the puck and try to get body positioning. And Josh Doan makes a really nice pass. And then obviously Connor Hellebuck can see this developing because he's a supercomputer, and he can see that Barrett Hayton's coming in there. So I have no issue with Hellebuck going for the poke check. I saw some people were saying that in the chat, we're saying that, he shouldn't have poke checked him, but that's not, it's a really skilled play by Barrett Hayton. Right. Yeah. Exactly. It's just, it's a couple of poor plays by Pionk. And I think Pionk's had a great year. So again, to Dave's point, we're not saying Pionk is a bad defenseman. We're just saying on this particular play, he made a couple of errors and it resulted in the Utah scoring and putting it in the back of the Jets net. And again, the Jets are already down 2-0 at this point, and you continue to make these types of mistakes.
That's right.
That's what I think is concerning. I'm not saying that the Jets are going to go on a 7-game losing streak here or anything like that. I'm just saying this was an atypical Jets performance tonight.
And the Jets head coach Scott O'Neill is very upset.
Oh yeah.
We'll play the audio after the break, so don't go
play
anywhere.
It.
Yeah.
Impressive.
I think we can play it. I'm pretty sure we can.
Who's sending it to us, Mike?
Well, no, I'll just do it through the second screen. It's all over Twitter, so I can second screen it. We'll do that after the break here on the Illegal Curve post game show. So stay with us for that. Utah makes it 4-0. Again, I mean, you talk about a night that's you don't want to remember, and you don't want to, and everything that can go bad. Dylan Sandberg looks like he's wearing his skate guards on the ice in this sequence, and I don't want to. Dylan Sandberg, we know how good he's been for the Jets, and it's just, I mean, he's going to hate watching this video. I don't know if he loses an edge or the puck bounces on him or what happens, but he just looks like he's floundering out there, fish out of water. And as a result, it's an odd man rush for the hockey club. And it ends up with Michelli getting his 8th of the year, assist to Doan and Hayden, and real nice passing play. Don't get me wrong. But again, this is not a dangerous play here. There's not a lot about this that should be dangerous. The Jets have control of the puck deep in Utah's zone. And then it's like Keystone Cops moment where the puck somehow ends up in the back of their net, despite them being in a very advantageous position or appearing to be in an advantageous position for the majority of that sequence.
This is just very un-Dylan Sandberg-like, guys, right? Like he's such a solid defenseman, and he loses an edge, and it's completely on. Barrett Hayton's got good wheels, and what I don't like is that Rasmus Kupari has to come back quicker than that. You see him kind of come back into the play, but he's just too late, right? And Michelli has the empty net, right? So that's what I didn't like. In addition to the Sandberg turnover, I thought the Jets just got caught a little bit deep. I think it was was it who else was out there? It was Kupari, Perfetti, and Niederreiter, or Kupari,
Might have been
Perfetti,
Connor,
and
actually.
Connor. Like
I think
that's
it
what
was
it was hard to keep track
Connor,
of what the
it was
lines were.
Perfetti, and it was Kupari.
There you go. So, but Kupari's the
I wouldn't
center.
think they've played a lot of games. I don't think they have a lot of minutes together this year.
No, they don't. And so that's what I don't like is that Kupari just doesn't get back quick enough to take away. Like it's a 2-on-2 situation, but because Maselli just outworks, outskates Rasmus Kupari, then it becomes a 3-on-2. So again, just overall, guys, just a sloppy performance by the Jets. Like there's really not much more that you can say. Like it got ugly in the third period.
And before this, I mean, remember it's 4-0 now, and the players are handling the puck like it's a grenade. I mean, guys, Alex Iafallo made half a dozen mistakes. Cole Perfetti was completely invisible for 99% of this hockey game. And that's not this game. It's not like this is a unique game. Cole Perfetti has got to step up his game big time because he's invisible. I'm sorry. And like I've said, he is not a driver. He is a complimentary piece, but right now he doesn't even look complimentary. So I understand that they've changed things up and his role has changed, but that means he's generally playing against weaker competition. And one of the things you need to see from him is production. And you're not seeing it. You're not even seeing those opportunities. The close chances, that's what you need to see, and you're not seeing it from him. So Cole Perfetti has got to get better because, I mean, look, we're obviously going to get into the next couple of goals, but like I said, Utah's not even a good hockey team. Sorry, they're not. They're
the other thing, Dave, too, I wanted to point out, like, I'll be honest, I haven't watched a lot of Utah this year, but
no, none of us have.
What were their big moves that they made in the offseason? They brought in John Marino. They brought in John Marino and they brought in Sergachev.
Mm-hmm.
Marino, I don't know if many people noticed he was out there. That was his third or fourth game of the season. He hasn't played. Sean Durzee's missed the entire year with shoulder surgery, right? So those are significant
Sergachev didn't play tonight.
Well, and he's played that's only the second game he's missed this year.
Right,
but the point is Durzi, John Marino, Mikhail Sergachev. I mean, Dylan Guenther's out of the lineup now. He's day-to-day. I don't think he's going to be out long-term. But all I'm trying to say is those are key injuries on their back end. But you're absolutely right. This isn't a very good team.
No.
The ceiling for this team was going to be a wild card spot, right?
Yeah.
And they still have a chance, I guess. But what are they, 6 or 7 points back of Calgary right now? So
well, I think they might be 4 now because of the win. But all I was going to say is, like, you make mistakes like that against Colorado on Wednesday, or mistakes like that against Dallas. Well, it's 6 or 7-0. I mean, like, again, Utah is not as good as those teams. They're not as deep as those teams, right? So you're not going to get as burnt by them as you would but again, you handle the puck like it's a grenade. You make passes like you're in the AHL because that's the way it looked. Like that's what I'm used to watching in the AHL, where guys can't complete a pass and they killed each other's momentum. And that's what it looked like today. It looked like guys were handling the puck like a hand grenade. And so, if you're going to do that, especially against good teams, and again, I'm not suggesting that the Jets are going to have to win every game and they're going to have to play perfect hockey every single game. But, well, like I said, Drew's going to get into the comments by Scott O'Neill. And again, I'm not surprised that he's taking it all on himself, because that's what, coaches do. He wants to deflect away from his team. But at the end of the day, it's funny they say that, but as Kevin Cheveldayoff said in the thing, players play and coaches coach, whatever that means. But
thanks.
whatever the hell he said.
And GM's GM.
Yeah, GM's GM. But ultimately, at the end of the day,
broadcasters broadcast.
The players didn't execute, and it's on the players. I'm sorry, you can say the coach can try and take ownership and responsibility, and he gets that for making those decisions, some of those decisions, but he's not the one out there passing the puck. He's not the one they're making, the decisions on when to, like, even on that goal, guys, the 3 forwards saw Dylan Sandberg struggle. And then rather than immediately jumping back and having at least one guy get back into the D zone to try and cover for him, they stood around watching him. All 3 of those guys. No excuse for that.
No excuses, right? 4-0 for the Utah Hockey Club at that point in time. Jets get a couple goals to make it a little bit more interesting, a little bit of window dressing, if you will. As it turns out, it's Nino Niederreiter. He gets his 13th assist to Ehlers and Scheifele. That comes 28 seconds after Utah made it 4-0. And then about 3 minutes and 16 seconds later, Dylan DeMello gets his third of the year assist to Nikolai Ehlers and Dylan Sandberg. The shot by DeMello was a big one. It is our Seagram shot of the game.
The Seagram shot of the game.
Big thanks to Seagrams for their continued support of the Illegal Curve post-game show. Night like tonight requires something hot, something where you feel the burn in your chest. It's a fireball kind of night. It tastes like heaven. It burns like hell. That is fitting for the Winnipeg Jets performance tonight against Utah. 4-2 at that point. That's as close as the Jets got. You were wondering, is there going to be an epic comeback? It did not end up being the case. Clayton Keller into the empty net. That's his 16th of the season. Assist to Nick Schmaltz, and it's a 5-2 final for the Utah Hockey Club versus the Winnipeg Jets. The Jets look to lick their wounds on Wednesday against the Colorado Avalanche. You'd hope and or expect a better performance, especially after the post-game comments that we're going to play. So the Jets head coach is bothered by tonight. Nick Ehlers was bothered by tonight. We'll find out Wednesday if the Winnipeg Jets are able to bounce back and arrest the current two-game losing streak. We'll be live at Boston Pizza on Wednesday. Join us. 8:30 p.m. is the puck drop. We will be there for an Illegal Curve watch party and the Illegal Curve post-game show. So we're looking forward to seeing the marquee Say I See on Wednesday night. When we come back on this edition of the Illegal Curve post-game show, we'll do our best to bring you those comments from Scott Arneal. We'll do our best to bring you those comments from Nikolai Ehlers. Don't go anywhere. Drew Mandel, Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg, the Illegal Curve post-game show continues on a Monday night.
We want to thank you for not betting with Play Now and choosing our illegal gambling site instead.
Because we couldn't afford things like this without your money.
So much of your money.
Now you might have questions like,
Do our profits benefit your community?
No.
Or bet with Play Now, Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site.
Dining, entertainment, parking, and convenience, all in one spot. City Place is located in the heart of downtown Winnipeg, attached to the Canada Life Center. Whether you're working, living, or out for a night in the downtown, make City Place your go-to destination before or after the fun finds. Lunchtime, game time, anytime. Visit City Place at 333 St. Mary Avenue, next to Canada Life Center. Holt Dental, the new official dentist of Illegal Curve, has a philosophy rooted in two unyielding principles: genuinely caring about patients and providing outstanding service. Being a patient of Holt Dental means more than just checkups and treatments. It's taking the time to listen and talk to each patient so they can achieve the best long-term health, functionality, and aesthetics for their teeth, mouth, and gums. Conveniently located at Grant Park Festival on Taylor Avenue, Holt Dental is dentistry of the highest quality in a comfortable and relaxed environment. For more information, visit holtdental.ca. Oh, and there's plenty of free parking at the front door, too. Celebrating its 40th year as Winnipeg's home for stand-up comedy, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club has recently been named Canada's top comedy club and a top 5 comedy club in North America. From birthday parties to date nights to fundraisers and everything in between, Rumors is your destination for the best and most affordable live entertainment Winnipeg has to offer. For more information on upcoming shows, Rumors' incredible promotions, and to purchase tickets, visit rumorscomedyclub.com.
This January at Boston Pizza, every day is Pasta Tuesday. That means BP's famous pastas start at just $11.99 every single day. Create your own or go gourmet for just a few bucks more. Come on in for Pasta Tuesday pricing any day. Only this January at Boston Pizza.
Welcome back to the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Pardon me, the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg going to bring you the comments from Scott Arniel that I mentioned, the Jets head coach, very fired up tonight regarding his team's poor performance. But before we do, I just wanted to make mention and extend our condolences to the family of former Winnipeg Jets head coach Tom McVie, who passed away earlier today. The news coming out, he was 89 years old. So a nice longevity for Tom McVie, who of course led the Winnipeg Jets to the Avco Cup in 1979. And he was also the Jets head coach for their first 2 seasons when after they left the WHA and joined the NHL. A lengthy hockey career, starting in the ECHL, working in the AHL, NHL, coached the Washington Capitals, coached the New Jersey Devils twice, and this is at no means a reflection on him as a head coach, but I can promise you he's probably going to be the last ever NHL head coach that had 2 separate losing streaks of 25 games each. That he lost 25 games in a row with the Winnipeg Jets, and he also lost 25 games in a row with the Washington Capitals. So a great storyteller, a raconteur of the world of hockey, passing away. So we'll have to make mention of that on tonight's Illegal Curve post-game show. Condolences to his whole family, but of course everyone in Winnipeg a little bit before our time. But everyone of a certain vintage remembers the 1979 WHA champion Winnipeg Jets, and Tom McVie certainly was a key component of that. I made mention that Jets head coach Scott Arniel was an unhappy camper after tonight's game. Here is what he had to say.
That was embarrassing. That was of all the games this year, that was the most embarrassing game for me, for our players. I take full credit. I got to be the one that has to hold these guys accountable and make sure we're better. That was embarrassing. We were from top to bottom. We did a horseshit job.
Well, there you have it. Short, succinct, sweet, but certainly, right, accurate. But you don't usually hear Scott Arniel that fired up. But he was tonight after the Jets and the Utah Hockey Club game.
Yeah, and obviously not surprising, boys, considering that they were down 4-0 in the third period, and it could have been worse. We talked about it, right? Hellebuck had to make a few really good saves in the first period to keep that first period scoreless. So, I mean, it's a couple of losses in a row, and there's a big game coming up against Colorado on Wednesday night. We'll obviously be at BP Taylor, so hopefully some of you in the chat are going to be able to join us. But I like to see that. I love to see emotion. Raw emotion is great. So, I mean, I'm not going to read too much into it. Obviously, he's unhappy. They didn't play well. And again, emotion's a good thing.
Yeah, it certainly is. Nikolai Ehlers, equally emotional after tonight's game. He was unhappy with the performance of his team and his teammates. Here's what the Winnipeg Jets forward had to say regarding the Jets' performance tonight.
If we don't, it's pretty simple. We don't play the right way. Long shifts, turnovers. And I mean, they're a good team. Like, you don't take anything away from them. They're a really good team, and they dominated us today. It's as simple as that. But we're not winning the Stanley Cup with the way that we're playing today.
We're not winning the Stanley Cup with the way that they're playing today. He's absolutely right. They don't try and sugarcoat it. They don't look for excuses. Nikolai, what's really going to be interesting to me is to see the response on Wednesday, Dave.
Yeah.
You heard Scott Arniel. You heard Nikolai Ehlers. The response on Wednesday is what matters most, I think, at this point in time.
For sure. Words are just words, and it's easy to say after a game and take the slings and arrows and throw them at me, and don't blame the team. Well, no, it's the team that crapped the bed for most of that hockey game. So it's the team that has the responsibility to pick it up and show that that they care. And you could say, well, it's a hockey game in January. It's not that big a deal. Not that big a deal. I would agree with you, but Nikolai Ehlers is absolutely right. You've you have become this team that plays a certain brand of hockey. And we've talked about it throughout the course of this season. This was game 47, I believe. And for most of the hockey games that we've watched this 24-25 season, the Jets have displayed a certain brand that is theirs, a certain style, that is there, regardless of winning or losing. You know the style that they're exhibiting, which Drew, for 700% of the time, Ezzy, they're winning, and 300% of the time they're losing. But for the most part, they've won this season with that style. Everyone in the chat recognize it, or who listens to the show on the podcast after recognizes what. My mic just dropped.
I was going to say, Dave,
that was my mic drop.
Up.
That was my mic drop moment. I forgot to get the counterbalance on that. But I'm just saying that everyone would recognize what the style of play of the Winnipeg Jets is when they're playing that style, and from puck drop. Anybody who watches this team, as most of the folks do, they know that this wasn't that style, and they can recover from not playing it perfectly, but not the way they played today. It was just way too inconsistent.
And the funny thing is, I actually didn't think the first period was that bad.
I'm not saying it was.
It was the second and third periods that were really bad. And like we talked about, like the turnovers, there's going to be turnovers over the course of the game. We talked about it on the Barrett Hayton goal. The thing or was it the Michelli goal? I forget. The one where Rasmus Kupari was kind of slow on the back check and Sandberg turned the puck over. Whatever. It was the third or fourth goal. The point is that turnovers are going to happen in a game, but you have to deal with it. And okay, if you turn the puck over, then skate your buns off and get in on the back check and make a play, right? So it was just not an acceptable performance, and it's I think one of the reasons why Ehlers is that disappointed and Arneal is that disappointed, because they deserved at least a point in that game against Calgary. I can't emphasize that enough. Drew, you were in the stands for that game. I mean,
they dominated that game.
The Jets badly outplayed the Flames.
Yeah,
like, let's not kid ourselves here.
They should have
got 2 points, let alone 1 point. And so to follow that up with this stinker in Utah, I'm not surprised that these guys are disappointed and they're voicing their displeasure.
Well, upset they are. No update on Adam Lowry, by the way. That will likely come tomorrow. The Jets are scheduled to practice tomorrow, I believe at 2:00 Winnipeg time.
I think so, yeah, 2.
Yeah, something like that.
In Colorado.
In Colorado. So they're going to travel to Colorado. It'll be a sort of a mid-afternoon Winnipeg time, and it'll be covered, of course, in its entirety on illegalcurve.com and everything available as well on our YouTube channel.
Well, and there's a Moose practice in the morning, Drew. So I will, of course, let anyone know if people are missing from said Moose practice, which I suspect will not be an optional based on how they played this weekend against the Marlies. So if there's anyone missing that is of note, make sure you go to illegalcurve.com, and we'll have it, of course, in the Moose practice report, with in addition to, of course, updates on Nikita Chibrikov, the 2021 second rounder who left the game in the first, and in the last game on Sunday in the first, and he did not look good. And so we'll hopefully have an update on him on Tuesday, as well as Elias Salamonson, who is the 2022 second rounder. Looks like he's getting closer to a return. And I was told that Grand Rapids, this game against on Thursday, is a possibility for him.
There you go, Dave M. Getting everything in there in the final seconds of this evening's edition of the Illegal Curve post-game show. I guess it's now this morning's edition, as the clock has struck midnight, which means we're all about to turn to pumpkins. So with that in mind, we'll thank everyone for joining us tonight here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. If you haven't already done so, smash that like button, subscribe to the podcast. Remember, Wednesday night, join us, Boston Pizza on Taylor Avenue, our home away from home. Come see how the Winnipeg Jets respond to tonight's defeat. How will they respond against the Colorado Avalanche? And of course, come spend some time with yours truly, Dave and Ezzy, on Wednesday night at Boston Pizza on Taylor Avenue. It's gonna be a good one. Big thank you to all of our sponsors: Play Now, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Holt Dental, City Place, Seagram's. I mentioned Boston Pizza. Support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. We'll see everybody for the next edition of the post-game show. That's going to happen on Wednesday night, live at Boston Pizza, and of course also live on our YouTube channel. Until then, illegalcurve.com, the website, Illegal Curve YouTube channel, the subscription, the like, the smash, the podcast, the comments, all the good stuff. For Dave Manouk, for Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. This has been the Illegal Curve post-game show.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast from Illegal Curve Hockey. For more great Illegal Curve content, subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, follow at Illegal Curve on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and visit your online home for hockey in Winnipeg, illegalcurve.com.